Now, without a doubt, over the years, a lot of fans have had issues with Kathleen Kennedy's input into the Star Wars universe, starting off with The Force Awakens, leading to The Last Jedi, and ending with The Rise of Skywalker, and let's not forget about Solo: A Star Wars Story's box office results. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, as well as George Lucas, they really are putting together dozens of Star Wars TV shows in the mix that's going to revive a large percentage of Star Wars legends to actually make its way over into the Disney canon. So this is one thing to really be excited about, because Star Wars Legends is something that has remained in the fans' hearts for decades now. It's something that really should be respected, and a lot of fans are never going to forget what Kathleen Kennedy had said, that there was no source material to use or pull from when it came to the modern films and the modern Star Wars TV shows and more. So Kathleen Kennedy basically trying to deny that Star Wars Legends even exists at that. So when we look ahead to the future, alright, Disney and Lucasfilm, they have multiple plans in stock right now. They've got shows like Ahsoka, Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, and more. That's just to name a few. That is just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come. So far, the Book of Boba Fett is doing excellent. Or should I say, the Bad Batch that's going to eventually lead up to the Book of Boba Fett. We got that coming out this December. The Bad Batch honestly does open a gateway to possibilities of what's to come, and it even has been teased that it's going to have an emotional finale, so looking forward to episode 16 this upcoming August. Now, when it all dwindles down to Kathleen Kennedy, alright, this is a very interesting progression, a very interesting development, and how it really has a major impact on a big Star Wars timeline right now. Now, specifically, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now focused primarily on their new projects like Star Wars Ahsoka, Kenobi, Andor, and more, both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are actively creating other projects like The Mandalorian Season 3 and 4, as well as the Book of Boba Fett, plus others in the mix. Now, since Gina Carano's firing, the fans have been up in arms over her firing and have wanted her to return since then. However, it's described that behind the scenes, Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy has been under tons of stress as to how the fans are responding to the High Republic Star Wars stories, and that Kathleen Kennedy is described to be going into a meltdown over the negative fan response to the High Republic era of Star Wars. Now, it's described that Kathleen Kennedy is setting up plans to cancel further plans for the High Republic series after all of the announced phases so far. Kennedy is described to be canceling other phases that have yet to be announced, since she is desperate to save her legacy within the Star Wars universe. Now, this new phase that Kathleen Kennedy is canceling was described to have been a story that involved a large force storm that held a consciousness to some extent that would actually be an eater of worlds of the galaxy, and that Kathleen Kennedy was gathering creators to develop the story as an apocalyptic Jedi story, in which the Jedi would have to stop this force storm through the ways of the Force. Kennedy is said to have just cancelled this major unannounced phase for the High Republic era that was set to be announced this fall for the fans. Kennedy decided to cancel it since she knew it was going to be a major failure and would only further hurt her Star Wars legacy, as well as her image as a producer and president of Lucasfilm. Now, this story was also going to dive more into the origins of Geode the Rock in the new phase that Kennedy recently cancelled. So let's stop right here for 1 second. Now, the High Republic era has been horribly received. Now, some of you out there may like it, and hey, that's fine. Everybody has their opinion on many different things. When we examine the High Republic timeline, I just gotta put my 2 cents out there, is that I feel that the characters are very poorly written, very poorly designed at that. The only positive thing about this era is that we get a look at a younger version of Yoda. Yes, we do. And that's the exciting part about that timeline. In fact, there has been a lot of talk that the Acolyte series is going to be bringing back Yoda into the mix, and that he's going to be a part of dragging the overall story, kind of him being the light that's going to drag fans into the show. Will he himself be enough to cover up what Kathleen Kennedy is trying to push for in the Acolyte series, I don't know. But the fact that she recently had cancelled not just one phase, but multiple phases of the High Republic era that originally was supposed to be announced this fall, give or take around November or December, like early December, that really does speak volumes. That tells us that Kathleen Kennedy is very desperate to save her legacy and is very desperate to create new fans without them realizing of what she's really aiming to do with, of course, Star Wars overall. The fact that these new phases were, of course, going to involve a major force storm that held a consciousness, it just sounds ridiculous to me. It kind of sounds like what you saw in, of course, you know, that film like the Fantastic Four movie, Rise of the Silver Surfer. It kind of reminds me of that. That's the only thing that I can really think about. And that right then and there is almost like Kathleen Kennedy is pulling ideas from other franchises. Now, here's the other thing, alright, is that when we look at the High Republic timeline, this actually takes place hundreds of years before The Phantom Menace. There is a lot to draw from. And meanwhile, it could have been a great era if it weren't pushed to center around identity politics and throwing in real-world issues and everything around that. Like, if Kathleen Kennedy had just focused more on telling great stories that actually involved creators with a lot of passion, it would have worked a lot more. So the fact that she canceled not one, but multiple phases, it speaks volumes, like I say. This tells us that she is desperate to save her overall image. Let's not forget that she's actually trying to create her own new production company. This also tells us a lot because she really wants to push things forward. She wants to save her career and save her legacy and leave something special behind. And she's just not going to do that with Star Wars. I believe that as of right now, it is too late. Whatever Kathleen Kennedy is trying to do, be it canceling the High Republic plans that actually have yet to be announced, or doing this or that with the Acolyte series, it's not going to help. What's done is done in my book. You know, what Kathleen Kennedy had done to the sequel trilogy, to Luke, to the Skywalkers in general, it cannot be undone. All we can really do now is move forward and focus on the new that's going to be done by George, John, and Dave. I still stand by my opinion, and this is my opinion, that the Acolyte series will fail terribly at the ratings, and it's going to lead to more people canceling their Disney Plus subscription. In fact, I would even go as far to say that it could very well be on the same exact level as Batwoman, alright? Now, here's a very important thing that I think a lot of fans need to really know when it all dwindles down to Kathleen Kennedy as well, is that when we look at everything related to Kathleen Kennedy as a producer and as a president of Lucasfilm as a company, the fact that she no longer has creative control over everything else, she's only involved with the Acolyte series, there really isn't much to worry about when it comes to the overall Star Wars universe moving ahead. Sure, the Andor series, it's not really involving Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni all that much, and that I guess you could worry about a little bit because they are going to have major retcons to the original trilogy in that actual TV show. So that's one thing to be aware of. The other thing is, well, we got Kenobi, Ahsoka, and more, as well as the Book of Boba Fett to look forward to. That's going to be the baseline, the foundation of how John and Dave are going to prove that they can really make things better. So like I've said before in the past, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.